All right, we've talked about this global stuff and worldwide stuff, so let's get to the thing that I missed last week, which is, of course, talking about a new unit coming to Wotv. Of course, there's actually a few other stuff, some new 6-star equipment, general app update, the first, what we are calling the Reincarnation Festival, where you can see here the winners, such as for fire, we have Rally Glacia. Okay, um, moving on, Ice, Alaya, Wind, Fly Glassy, sorry, Dialdo for Earth, Wrath for Dark, Wingstern for Light, Preen for Water, and Lightning got Ibarra. And each of these characters is getting special benefits right now, where basically you can earn more shards of them. You can potentially get a copy. There is a actual 2,000 paid Lapis banner, which has, if I can find it, right here you can actually get, where is it? Right here, a 120 version on step 5, if you are so inclined spend money. But anyway, all of that pales into comparison, of course, to the fact that we have a brand new character in the game. So let's take a look at her initial stuff so we can figure out whether or not... Oh, wait! Silly Umbra. She's already in the game. We don't even need to. As a matter of fact, yeah, as you figured out, she's already on my home screen, so bad setups and puns aside, dragging out the video so I can get over 10 minutes, let's talk about, what's her name? Shalze. Shalze? Shalze. I'm going to say it's Shalze. I'm probably wrong. I'm always wrong. Anyway. Shalze is the new Fire Elemental support healer on JP, and to say that it's a little bit surprising that she's come to the game finally after so long, being a prominent member of the story for a very long time, yet here she is, a 70 cost. Some people may be a little bit concerned about the fact of whether or not she's good or not. Well, you know what? The net positive thing to talk about here is that she is basically not a limited cost character, and you know, at this point you can almost guarantee that you'll get her down the line. So Fire Elemental, 70 cost, not limited, 3 move, 1 jump, Cleric Kotodama wielder with a brand new class, which as far as I'm, you know, taking a look at it, seems to be a mix of healer slash green mage. He does have staff weapons, and her TMR, clothing, 211 HP, 6 defense, 6 spirit, 12 critical evade, with a ability to cast 28 TP, increase elemental chain resistance by 40 for allies. And as you can see, there's some flexibility on how you cast this ability. Nullify, frostbite, blind, and paralyze, which honestly, I think is quite nice. I always love when we get a little bit of status effect resistance through, you know, whatever different way, because sometimes you get a raid where, for instance, you just get paralyzed 100 million times, and by the end of it, you're like, I hate this game. But then they put this out, and it's okay, right? Anyway, going back, let's talk about Shalze's master ability, which is chance of being targeted decreased by 3, as well as critical evasion by 15 for self. Dream ability is decreasing casting time, increasing defense by 15, and upgrading her abilities. So overall, Shalze, you look at her and you can kind of get the idea that she is just a mostly, you know, you already get the idea that she's just going to be set up as this kind of defensive character. And we take a look over here, looking at the friend unit. Speaking of which, something new that has been added to JP is, well, if you take a look here, you can see a little bit of these 2 new stats being shown, specifically, you know, around AoE resistance and, boy, oh boy, I just completely forgot what the other one was. Fun fact, I actually recorded this video twice, but because of issues, I had to do it. And in that one, yeah, single attack resistance and AoE attack resistance. So those are both listed now for reference sake to how good a character might be for resisting damage. But yes, going over here, let's take a look at Shalze with a Fire Elemental team. About 7,500 HP, which is generally pretty good, I think. 1,478 magic, 36 defense, 13 spirit, 26 and 43 for the resistances, as we've said. 98 agility, which I think is pretty fair. Looking at her resistances, nothing too amazing here, but nothing particularly overly concerning. And we'll just say that one of the main reasons for that is because she does have a lot of basically like hate debuff in her overall kit that kind of, works to keep her safe. Now, let's go over her sub jobs really quickly. Otodama Wielder has the stun, 100% hit chance, confusion, move to unit panel with the AoE 100% hit chance. Not necessarily anything bad here, nothing particularly overly that exciting. Cleric has heal and dispel all debuffs for target on a single. Damage, light and dark resistance increase by 25% each. Agility by 20% while dealing damage with only a 1 range ahead of her, and dispel all debuffs for targets while restoring 400 CD health. Cleric does provide her with some additional healing and support, which I think is actually generally pretty good way since she is a support healing unit. Now we get to talk about the fun stuff, her main kit. Now, main kit, overall, the 2 new support skills this class will see: increase AoE resistance and critical evasion of 15, and decrease skill activation time with buff duration and debuff duration increase. Now, big thing I want to note, Kotodama does give magic power up as well as spirit and ice resistance. Cleric gives her a spirit and agility, which right now, if we take a look at the way this unit is built, we have this, and we have this. We do not have the agility boost on. So her agility is currently 98 with this equipment and without the extra boost. Just think it's kind of important to mention. Counter, now the new counter ability for this does get upgraded. So the upgrade is chance to counter all damage by 30%, reduces damage taken by 30%, which is again good for this unit to essentially live, heal, and continue on as per you would want. Now, Limit Burst is pretty damn powerful. Single target gives a 200% chance to ignore fatal damage for ally and for herself, while also decreasing her chance of being targeted by 6. Her Limit Burst is definitely the main draw of this character, as she effectively can just help another character survive. And yes, ignore fatal damage can be dispelled. It can be hit by double attacks, such as Bart's or lightning or so on and so forth. Get it. I get it, dear viewer. However, I do think that the simultaneously casting of that and having an additional source of it is always potentially valuable when the opponent's team is ready. So let's say for now that I think that this Limit Burst is particularly quite strong. Looking at the sub part of her main job, what we have here is a select up to 2 targets while dealing damage, which of course I always love these abilities just because they are incredibly flexible. And as for her other one, it's an increase of attack, magic, and agility by 40% for attack and magic and 25% for agility. A less flexible one, but still a pretty strong buff if you're going to be using her for buffs. Now, main ability is just a 120 mod heal, which on a single target is less than impressive. Second ability is increased defense and spirit by 15 for 3 turns, while also giving ice resistance to herself. Again, not particularly that incredible. Next one, decrease all attack resistance by 15% for 3 turns for targets with a 141 mod. And what's interesting here, this ability is AoE, and a pretty big AoE. You can potentially catch multiple units in this, and I'm going to go on the record as saying that this is one of the abilities I first really start to like with her, because it does support multiple different damage types. Not necessarily going to be the most successful or always going to be a game winner, but the fact that she can kind of sneak in there and deal this, supporting, after buffing all of your guys, can be potentially pretty powerful. So I'm going to say that I do like it. Now, unfortunately, it does have casting time, which, but in the times when I think this does work, I think it's going to be particularly kind of a little bit of a nice one to get off. Next up, this one, select 2 target abilities. So already I love it. Grants regen to 2 allies, basically, for 3 turns. And if any of the following effects, regen, is active on those units, 200% chance for that unit to deal an increase of 20%, either physical or magical damage. So it gives regen, it ups damage for different characters, and this is universal. It's not like specifically to the fire element. It can be given to any character who has regen. And the fact that you can do this, if you look at this in terms of a PvP aspect, you can just basically power up 2 characters and give regen, which, again, if we're going back to people saying, well, Ignore Fatal isn't that great, Re-Raise isn't that great, well, all right, then have some regen. Given that characters' HPs are going up and up and up, regen becomes more and more valuable, and there really isn't too terribly much at the moment removal for regen. Kind of one of the things that Dialdo can potentially do that people like. So let's say it's a positive here. Now, next ability actually gets 2 upgrades. So let's take a look at it, which is another one of her AoEs. And first off, we'll just go all the way up to the big version. AoE resistance by 20 for 4 turns for allies. Critical evasion by 20 for 4 turns for allies. Light resistance and dark resistance by 30% for 4 turns to allies. And grants protect for 4 turns, while also granting the following effect: restore AP by 10 when performing a critical hit for 4 turns. 4 turns is a pretty long time, and overall a general benefit when you think about, wait a minute, one of her things, it actually allows her to increase the buffs to 5 turns. Well, okay, all right, now this is pretty good, because you take a look at the, for instance, just the fire element or the thunder element, which he could potentially slot into the easiest, most obviously. If you look at that, the thing that I think that is really good about that is the fact that like Yuffie or those kind of evade characters are pretty luck based, which means that they're a pretty high chance of getting criticals, which means they can get more AP and deal more. And if you look at just getting more light resistance and dark resistance, that makes them good against quite a number of teams out there that run light and dark characters. And it makes Shalze actually decent on those kind of fire elemental teams. It is probably one of the things that's going to push Shalze in a similar aspect to Lena more recently, or also Kadia, of being for a very specific team that you are targeting. And from what I've seen, it's pretty successful, but it does essentially require you to build this character for that one specific thing. And if the meta shifts, you might lose a little bit of value on it. So the last ability, her job level 25, is just Arise. It is a 50% chance to revive a target with 100% HP. I think that this, is always very powerful. Unfortunately, it is a single cast, so I'm going to put my overall thoughts on it of just being, pretty darn good, but not game-breaking, which for a 70 cost unit, here you're looking at really potentially irking out a good amount of value from just being very cost-limited in cost-limited events. And I think Shalze, for a 70 cost character, is really a great support. Can potentially provide healing, survivability, offense, and just a bunch of different stuff in a bunch of different ways, and kind of also have, you know, a few other tricks in her kit too that make her generally pretty good. Not a character that I would say is worth breaking the bank for, but also not a bad character either. So unfortunately, for this video, this is just a general review of this character. Yes, I do have one last thing to talk about, which is this weapon. 158 magic, does have a name version and a vitality version. Vitality might be something that people are interested in. It's overall thing that it does for everybody, 25% magic. If Shalze is the one that equips, 15% HP increase, AoE resistance 8, and when HP drops below 20%, a 200 CT boost. So basically gives her a kind of almost guaranteed, kind of. Think it's pretty good. I like it overall. I mean, I do like Shalze. I do like that she's finally a character in the game. I think that for most people, like, other than fire users, I think that this character is kind of just a skip and get off banner, because, you know, at a 70 cost, likelihood with the number of free pulls in the future around anniversaries and whatnot, I think is very likely. So anyway, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Not going to be a demo for this character because she is essentially, you know, more of a healer. I mean, maybe I'll do a bit of a demo later, but right now I'm trying to get caught up on videos, so just going to keep this very focused around Shalze. I am going to say one incredibly negative thing about her. Her on the home screen. Just reused animations, more like kind of this, like, feels like Venera ones of just like doing the, oh, I'm so sexy, and then I don't know, I don't know why, but I never thought this character was like this on the home screen. So that's my big negative point. See ya.